Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga.
Even for me, it was very difficult to contain that situation at that moment when I received that telephone call informing me the death of Archbishop Lwanga.
He told mourners that Bishop Lwanga was due to celebrate 43 years in the priesthood today and 25 years as bishop later this year.
So this is very clear when we are sending him off. He was there when he was already priest in this very cathedral by the late Cardinal in Sudan. So he's celebrating, so I would say, 43 years as a priest. And the talking with him has been telling us that next year he will be celebrating 25 years as a bishop.
Other speakers described Archbishop as an ambitious man of dreams and actions. At 2 p.m., Archbishop Lwanga's body was lowered into the crypt at the Uganda Matters corner on the right-hand side of the cathedral between Bishop Edward Mccarran and Archbishop Joseph Kiwanuka. Archbishop Lwanga died on Saturday morning, aged 68. Although a few selected mourners have been allowed to attend this scientific send-off of His Grace Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga due to the COVID-19 pandemic, from the few messages delivered and the scientific attendance.
Now, President Yoweri Museveni has described the late Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga as a practical Christian who pushed equal emphasis on both physical and spiritual needs of the people. The President's message was delivered to the mourners at Lubaga Cathedral by the Vice President Edward Kiwanuka Sekandi.
Grew to a great proportion and continues to thrive because of the solid foundation he built. He will be remembered as the practical Christian who placed equal emphasis on both the spiritual and physical needs of the people. He recognized the importance of encouraging believers to fulfill their responsibility as co-creator with God here on earth. This is demonstrated by the numerous development projects which initiated, integrated the message of socio-economic transformation and poverty eradication into his Christian ministry. By so doing, he followed the example of Jesus Christ, who did not only live a life of prayer and fasting, but also healed the sick, fed and worked as a carpenter, etc. Therefore, the late Archbishop Lwanga inspired Christians to participate in the work of creating a secure and prosperous Uganda. Finally, I stand with the family and the Archdiocese in this difficult moment of grief and loss. I pray that you find comfort and solace in God's promise of eternity to all believers beyond the horizons of this earthly life. For believers, death is not an end, but simply a transition to a higher heavenly spiritual existence. May the soul of the late Archbishop Christian Kizito Lwanga rest eternal peace, says that. He says, note, the government of Uganda has contributed shillings 300 million towards the burial expenses. This is the message from His Excellency.
Now, hundreds of dignitaries today converged at St. Mary's Cathedral, Lubaga, to bid farewell to the late Archbishop of Kampala Diocese, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. Most of the mourners were only invited guests.
As we witnessed the final send-over of a man who was ordained 43 years ago, on this same date of 8th April 1978, the day he is being buried in 2021, he will leave a living legacy, not only to the lives of many who have gone through his hands, but as a country.
As early as 7 a.m., mourners had started making their way to Lubaga Cathedral to witness the memorable send-off of Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. First was the last public viewing.
St. John.
In an entirely accredited and invited congregation, politicians, religious leaders from other denominations and government officials owned up the day.
Uganda has lost a golden pastor and a golden parent of the people. A golden lead.
Not separable, you cannot separate DP and the Catholic Church. The bishop has been a person that has been a parent, a father, and a committed leader that has worked for this country.
He has done quite a lot. I only request UBC to make an inventory of all the works that he has done so that others may learn from him.
What followed was the sounding of the bell as the body was led into the cathedral for the final send-off mass.
Had it not been the scare caused by the deadly COVID-19, hundreds would have gathered here at Lubaga Cathedral to witness the final send-over of the servant of Lord, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. However, to a few who managed getting here, this was a memory worth taking back home.
Today, it's a sad day for all of us, not only the Catholic Church, but the entire Uganda. We have buried the late Archbishop, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, but we shall always remember his works. He has built churches and also worked for the development of Ugandans at large.
So he has been very respectful, so helping, full of wisdom and guidance.
Despite his untimely death, history will tell that Lwanga's earthly journey is worth celebrating.
We have lost a great man who has served the people of Uganda, not only through promoting religion, but also touching many lives. We have seen the young, the old, the youth, the women who have been touched by his development programs.
Security was beefed up at the cathedral as many roads were sealed off to restrict access. As a requirement to observe COVID-19 standard operating procedures, other congregants followed the mass outside the tent on video screens. Archbishop Lwanga was crypted inside the cathedral, marking the end of his 68-year earthly journey. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Lubaga Cathedral.
Now, our reporters had a chance to talk to some of the mourners who had thronged Lubaga Cathedral to bid farewell to the Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. Most of the people that were talked to eulogized the late prelate as a bold person who always fought for the rights of the oppressed, the poor, and the elderly.
10 a.m. and the body of the late Archbishop Lwanga is ushered into Lubaga Cathedral. UBC TV was on ground and got views of mourners about the late Archbishop.
Personally, he was my friend as a person, and being the head of the Catholic Church, of course, as a Catholic, we feel a great loss to such a person who has been very developmental. I know on several occasions he visited my school, St. Mary's Chitende, and whenever he would come, he would encourage us to work hard to ensure that there is development in the school. So his loss means a loss to all of us, and I know it will grossly affect the growth. We need to just work hard to ensure that we fulfill his ambitions and his dreams.
Right from the time he became a bishop and archbishop, he has been all round in every sphere of life. A constitutional rights, and that was
personally, I was his before. All the development downtrodden people.
Kubira omumpira abaana tibadde yaagala omuntu n'omu aba mwavu, yabadde yaagala omuntu mwava muyambe, yabadde tuyambako kubanga nze nva Rwanda natuuka wano mu kifo kino yanyamba n'anyambako nnyo n'afa.
However, some expressed unhappiness over denial to be part of the mourners at the cathedral. This as a result of government's measures put in place to control spread of COVID-19.
Kale fena batugulirewo tuziko omuntu waffe tumalirize service tukole ebirala kubanga fena tumwagala.
This is my church, this is where I pray from. I had to come to see that I bury the bishop, but I have failed because they have refused me to enter inside.
Naffe twali twagala okuziika naye tulinga abatasobodde kuba tusibidde wabweru.
Bambi abadde afuba okutukumakumanga bannaddiini atulaga empisa onnaddiini yeeyisa atya, omuntu w'Omuganda yeeyisa atya, omuntu okubeera okulembera banno mu ddiini eno kuba ffenna tukimanya eddiini za Katonda.
Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Lwanga was last Saturday found dead in his room at his residence in Lubaga, and post-mortem results indicated cause of death as ischemic heart disease following coronary artery thrombosis due to a blood clot in the heart vessels. In accordance to the Catholic tradition, Archbishop Lwanga was crypted in the cathedral where he has been shepherding his flock. Helen Barbara Jizamba reporting for UBC TV.
And may his soul rest in peace. Now, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has saluted the Chinese Communist Party for its support towards African countries' political struggle for independence and economic development. The president was saying farewell to the outgoing Chinese ambassador to Uganda, Zheng Shiqing, who paid a courtesy call on him at his Chesozi ranch in Gomba district. He said that Uganda National Congress, which was a national party in the 1950s, and other neighboring countries like Tanzania that were linked to China through African Countries Link Office in Cairo, Egypt, benefited a lot from the Asian state. The president commended the Chinese ambassador for strengthening the relationships between the two countries and for maintaining high-level exchanges among their people. Now, the king, whose tour of duty is expected to end on the 13th of April, told the president that he enjoyed working in Uganda and thanked him for his support and cooperation. Ambassador organized 2 successful official visits for His Excellency the President of China in 2018 and 19 to attend the FOCAC meeting and the first China-Africa Export and Import Exhibition. Now, stakeholders have been called upon to support the third National Development Plan to outdo shortcomings created by the gaps in the first and second National Development Plans. Minister for Finance and Economic Planning, Matia Kasaija, underscores the need for a common forum to bring together ministries, departments and agencies in government program implementation. Now, this was during the launch of a program aimed at promoting reforms to improve efficiency in implementing government programs, officiated by the Prime Minister, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda.
Behind the singing of this Uganda national anthem is the burning desire to improve and promote effective service delivery in the country. This is why a new forum bringing together ministries, departments and agencies for proper government program implementation has been launched.
The planners, the financial resource mobilizers, implementation coordinators and oversight actors together on a round table where issues that impact on program implementation will be discussed.
This reform or APEX platform targets achieving at least 80% of NDP3 targets.
APEX, as it is known, is aimed at promoting reforms and interventions to improve efficiency in implementing government programs. In embracing it, challenges of laxity and increased borrowing will be addressed.
Money is not the main issue. The issue is attitude and ability to focus and say, I have been charged to do this, I do it with all my enthusiasm, with all my strength.
This process of internal reviews and reforms is an ongoing one, so that where and when bottlenecks service delivery are identified, they can be promptly addressed in time to deliver value for money and with good quality.
However, to succeed in all this, more funding is needed, as emphasized by Minister for Presidency, Esther Mbayo.
It is important that the issues of capacity building for the Secretariat be addressed by all concerned to ensure that the Secretariat's work is not hampered in any way by capacity building related issues.
With this APEX framework and the forum therefore, we should be able to see a more seamless implementation of the third National Development Plan, which has also introduced a new way of delivery using the program approach.
The recently launched third National Development Plan is meant to right the wrongs in the first and second NDPs. The launch of the Public Policy Executive Oversight Forum, also known as APEX, is therefore meant to drive this agenda. Henry Okrut, UBC.
The government has asked Parliament to consider facilitating Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, to be able to improve service delivery. The Minister of State for Information, Communication Technology and National Guidance, Peter Ogwang, says UBC to fast-track its decentralization strategy of government radio stations. It comes at a cost that needs not to be underlooked. Ogwang was responding to a call by a woman member of Parliament for Palisa, Agnes Amede, who raised a motion to the floor of the House seeking regionalization of government's Wutebo radio station. The MP's call was also seconded by a section of members of Parliament who said it would improve access to information at regional level.
If Radio Wutebo was in operation, we would have many programs broadcast in the local language of the various tribes that are in the east. And one area that could be covered would be the area to do with our cultural norms and practices that are almost fading away.
Because they are taxpayers,
They belong to Uganda. They are Ugandans. Why should they should actually listen to those radios out of option, not because there is no any other means for them, but because there is no any other means, they are forced to listen to radios or the FM stations from the neighboring country.
I also request through your team, if you could organize and pay a visit to Radio Mega FM, so that it guides other radio stations that are under UBC, but they are up country. You know, for Radio Mega FM, the management is quite unique. And currently, as we talk, Mega FM is employing more than 60 people. And all those 60 people are getting salaries.
Strategic area which is in Gulu, which is a city in Acholi sub-region. It is also true that according to our plan as the Minister of Information and Communication, we intend, like it has the process has started, to decentralize the management of most of these radio stations for purpose of helping us generate revenue, which will be able to run the stations. But also, as you know very well, there are areas like Karamoja, Bundibujo, like now another one which is meant to be put in Kisoro. These are areas where sometimes, as government, we put in a station there, we have to run generator, pay power bills, but if you look at the return on investment, you might not get it. That's why government continues to invest the money into UBC. Purpose is most times not on profit making, but for purpose of helping communicate to our people in those different areas. Back to the issue of free-to-air televisions. Madam Speaker, I'd like to request that you give me time to come here maybe on Tuesday and address. Why do I say this? There's a challenge in that specific aspect concerned about free-to-air decoders. What comes in multi-choice, of course, has pay rights. Now, only multi-choice has only permitted a national broadcaster, that is UBC. And this area, there are some of us who have subscribed to various pay TVs, like Zuku, name them. So most times you find they can, when you don't pay, they switch you off, and yet you're meant to remain on air. But you find that it's only Uganda Broadcasting Corporation which remains. That's why I want to request colleagues and the August House that permit me to have a meeting and come up with a comprehensive statement on as far as pay TV is concerned.
As I actually did not hear anyone speaking against it, I just put the question that the question be put, those in favor say aye, the contrary no. And I put the question that this House do adopt the motion as proposed by Honorable Mede, those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
The three-day health camp that was organized by Ministry of Health in Buganda Kingdom has ended this Thursday with a call on HIV patients to take their ARVs as directed by health workers. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Twine, who closed the camp on behalf of the Health Minister, Dr. Jen Ruth-Cheng, advised the public to always find ways of advised the public to avoid ways of contracting AIDS.
This health camp was officially launched on Wednesday by the Katikkiro of Buganda, Charles Peter Mayiga.
We must take the lead to protect our sisters, protect our mothers. That must be the major responsibility, because we initiate sexual activity. And during the act itself, the majority of the men take the lead. Where you will have the sex, how you will have the sex.
This Thursday, the camp has been officially closed by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Twine.
The uptake of services by men is still low. I think naturally men are egoistic, or they just want to show that they are very strong, so they don't need to. I don't know, but we are seeing men not taking up the services, even when they are sick. We were encouraging them to make sure that they go for testing, to make sure that they
they know their HIV status.
Dr. Twine has also assured the public on COVID-19 vaccine, saying it is safe and that people should embrace the ongoing vaccination drive.
What we are trying to do now is just to continue talking and encouraging them and reminding them that the vaccine is safe, it is effective, and it can protect us from severe disease. And COVID is still around. We want to still remind people that COVID is still around, and we are seeing the signs of COVID increasing. And therefore, if we can cover as many people who are at risk, then we'll have less severe form or less deaths in the country.
On behalf of Buganda Kingdom, the Minister for Information, Noah Chimba, says the Kingdom is ready to see that AIDS is kicked out of Uganda by 2030.
The men, we join this campaign and we should be at the forefront, because it's like women are blaming us that, you know what, it's you men who are keeping us with HIV AIDS. So I'm calling upon fellow men that let us join the Kabaka of Uganda to fight this epidemic of HIV AIDS.
Over 500 people have been tested and treated for non-communicable diseases in this 3-day health camp.
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Load MTN Freedom Bundles using My MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles. MTN.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. And it never tasted this good.
That's their way of stopping HIV. What about you?
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Tonight. Hearing of the case and bail application of Kawempe North Member of Parliament-elect Mohamed Sejirinya has flopped as two of his lawyers failed to agree on how to proceed in this matter. Although prosecution was set with 3 witnesses to testify and to reapply to Sejiriny's bail application as directed by court in the last sitting, defense legal team was not set to proceed with any of the 2. Magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu has adjourned this matter to the 15th of April 2021.
After being charged with counts of inciting violence by Buganda Road Magistrate Court last week and pleaded not guilty, Kawempe North Member of Parliament-elect Mohamed Sejirinya was remanded to Secretariat Government Prison. Thursday morning, Mohamed Sejirinya appeared via video conferencing to hear his bail application and prosecution to produce witnesses to pin him. Before Magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu, Sejirinya was represented by Counsel Jonathan Chiwanuka and Shamim Malende. Although prosecution led by Counsel Keko Joan was ready with 3 witnesses to testify in this matter and Sejiriny's bail application, it was however tricky for Sejiriny's legal team to decide on what to proceed with.
This case is fixed for hearing on the 8th day of April 2021.
Even this morning, you are not going to ask anything about this matter.
In her submissions, Shamim Malende wanted court to first hear the evidence from the 3 witnesses. However, Counsel Jonathan Chiriowa was insisting to first handle the bail application since they were not served with disclosures, which left Magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu startled.
Mr. Chiriowa, is it because you doubt what Madam Shamim says or what? Because she talks and you put her off.
It was during this session that Magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu accused the defense legal team of failure to show their professionalism in this matter, thus violating their client's rights.
Which is very unfair for that man in prison. So it's not court holding him there now especially. But his defense attorneys have chosen to do that. If counsel can even refuse to know that when court pronounces, a senior lawyer like Mr. Chiriowa, that the case is fixed for hearing on this day, he refuses to hear that one.
Following this drama, Magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu remanded the accused until 15 April 2021. Mohamed Sejirinya, who was given an opportunity to talk to court, had this to say.
First, I'm not well. I'm very sick. So I would like the court to grant me bail so that I can go for further medication.
Mr. Sejirinya, your attorneys know that today you are actually supposed to be heard on your bail application. I know deep in their hearts they know how unfair they have been to you, especially this morning.
Talking to Counsel Malende, she blamed court for mishandling this case, hence leaving their client to suffer in prison.
I was telling court that let the bail application be heard today, and if court is inclined to see that the witnesses must actually testify, we just take their evidence, and then the cross-examination can be deferred to another date.
We have all been in courts, we have all been captives, we have all been held and had the same issues, but bail applications are put as a first priority before hearing of the case.
Mr. Sejirinya was arrested on 9th March 2021 in Kampala when he was found with placards demanding for unconstitutional release of National Unity Platform supporters who were arrested during campaigns, and the party president Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu's alleged victory in the just concluded presidential elections. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Meanwhile, women activists and movements have called upon concerned government bodies in the Buganda Kingdom to intervene in what they call degrading acts on Honorable Nabila Nagai Sempala by her husband Isaac Sempala. The women activists condemned the manner in which Nabila was evacuated from her Mabrito home and now want justice accorded to both parties.
We would like to express our displeasure on the matter and surface of a broad range of human rights violations that Honorable Nabila Nagai has been subjected to by state and non-state actors.
For quite some time now, several media platforms have been awash with the news of Kampala woman Member of Parliament Nabela Nagai Sempala's alleged difficulties following marital arguments with her husband Isaac Sempala. The couple whose marriage went bitter took their marital conflicts to the public eye, with the husband allegedly blaming the wife for attempting to sell off their property. Accordingly, women activists and movements have condemned actions of Isaac Sempala, saying they depict gross violation of women's rights in general and also undermine their dignity.
These actions are manifestations of gross abuse and violations of Honorable Nabila's human rights and systemic exclusion of women. Honorable Nagai's case presents the persistent discriminatory social norms, values, and practices that are prevalent in the Ugandan society that undermine the personhood, integrity, and dignity of women.
Relating to the manner in which Nabila was evacuated from her marital home, women movement have blamed it on weakness of concerned institutions, lack of implementation of policies, and also poor enforcement of relevant laws.
For example, police is present to enforce a court order, but they leave people to come and, finish the dignity of an honorable member of parliament. And the thing that scares us the most, if that can happen to a current member of parliament, how about the other women?
In line with matrimonial traditions, the activists have called upon Buganda Kingdom, the Uganda Police and Minister for Presidency to intervene.
One of the key violators of the rights of Honorable Nabila Nagai is said to be an employee in the presidency who is abusing the resources of the president's office to interfere, threaten, and meddle in the case.
The Minister of the Presidency, Honorable Estambayo, to rein on one of the State House officials who is meddling into the affair. The IGP ensures that police exercises professionalism, but also enforces the court order.
It should be noted that Parliament recently passed the Succession Amendment Bill 2018 to address issues relating to property sharing. It's on the same note that they requested Parliament to pass the Marriage and Divorce Bill to address marital inequalities. The issue is currently in court pending hearing, with the miscellaneous case number 55 expected to be heard on Friday at the Magistrates Court, and the other hearing slated for 19th at the Commercial Court Division. Susan Naung and Deborah Namamonde reporting for UBC TV.
Meanwhile, government through the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation is calling for innovative concepts from the public to receive funding for possible execution, thereby promoting transformation of the economy. Minister for Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Rhoda Ngonzi, says government has allocated about 7 billion shillings to facilitate this initiative, although the amount is subject to increasing depending on the rate of enthusiasm.
Since inception of the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovations, government has been working out modalities to support innovations that can cause transformation of the economy to a middle-income status as per the National Vision of 2040. So far, different innovators have benefited from this initiative, as Dr. Rhoda Ngonzi elaborates.
Gross expenditure on research and development as a proportion of GDP, we are about 0.14, and I would have wanted to move to 1%.
Now, government, and in particular the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovations, is calling for concept notes from innovative minds for possible funding.
Bring me a concept. If we find the concept is good and it's fundable, then we now work with you to develop a full proposal, and we work with you to make sure you reach your targets within about 3 years.
A tune of 7 billion shillings has been set aside to facilitate all those concepts that will be found worthy.
Starting off with about 7 billion this financial year up to June, and then we have 10 billion next financial year. Yeah, just to start.
According to Dr. Rhoda, an 11-member committee has been created to assess all the concepts from different applicants.
Who is eligible? Any Ugandan, so any of you. as well as Ugandan-based scientists, technologists, innovators, and researchers, including youth and women. And you know, Ugandans they have they have been waiting for these opportunities. So we are giving up to April 16th to get these concepts.
All interested applicants have been tipped to concentrate on agriculture sector, disease burden reduction, renewable energy, and post-harvest, as well as food security. Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
Mccarran University students are demanding physical guild presidential elections as opposed to online polls that were organized by the university's officials. The digital polls option is in observance of SOPs and intended to fight the spread of COVID-19 among the student community. Now, UBC TV talked to one of the Guild President aspirants, Aaron Ogutu, and Wondukwa Simon, a student at the university, who gave their views regarding these elections.
We are having problems like we don't have results yet. Since, like for me, I'm in my third year, I don't have results for my first year. And all this is not being paid attention to. And the management is just there stable, and for it feels nothing is a problem. We are having a surcharge that has been imposed on us just of late. And for the fact that they have imposed the surcharge on us, but then we are having Zoom lectures, we are paying functional fees, and this still, it is not being catered for. We are catering it for ourselves, but then they are not looking at this situation we are in. They are instead just adding on the tuition, the surcharges. So we as students are saying no. We're not going to press us this hard. And really, all these problems are piling up because we have no voice that shall speak out our problems, we as the students. That is why we have been petitioning around to say we need leadership. These are 2 months now in university. We are going to the third. We don't have leadership yet. Other universities have voted already, they have leadership, and such problems can be handled by the students' leadership.
This is a sounding bell to management to really organize up the students' guild elections to enable them have a voice of representation on the university council. We do believe we are suffering, the entire community around Mccarran University is suffering this because we do not have representation. My humble plea once again, I do repeat, is that management should organize students' guild elections as fast as possible. Short of that, we shall then declare a formal strike.
Okay. Madi Okolo district is to acquire a new office block following a groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of a 2.5 billion storied building. The fund is a grant from the World Bank under the DIP project through Comprehensive Refugee Response Framework. Madi Okolo is one of the districts hosting refugees in West Nile.
Government, through a grant of 2.5 billion shillings from World Bank, is to construct an office block for Madi Okolo district. The district leaders requested government to construct for them offices through the DIP project, which has now been granted.
And at that time, the response was the project documentation does not allow construction of that stuff. But since it is a proposal, they are going to discuss with the World Bank. After the discussion, a letter was written. Your plea has been accepted. We are giving you money for construction of office block.
The Chief Administrative Officer, Moses Dalili, told members that the district received funds and has already transferred it in the subcommittee account for the construction project. The new offices, once complete, will house a number of staff who have been lacking office space where they can operate from.
We recruited 114 staff, and we now have challenge of accommodation. But I've requested them to use revolutionary methods of work, sitting under the trees, the veranda, to work. But once this block is completed, we will have a lot of space.
The RDC, Madi Okolo District, Alice Akelo, and the district chairman, Genesis Achema, said having the storied office building is an achievement of the interim leadership of the district.
The issues of delay to start work. I had some bad experience with the other projects, sub-projects. Of classrooms, there was too much delay. Some of those issues, to me, are unnecessary. I don't want to see delay.
Hurry to do the work, but don't do a shoddy work. If you do a shoddy work, the press have taken your picture, we are going to be on your neck.
Madio Kolo district was carved out of Arua district in 2019 and started its operations in the sub-county offices of Ogoko sub-county before having initial office block constructed by the government that continues to be small to accommodate all the district officers.
And with that, we take a quick break. When we return, business news. Do stick around.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. And it never tasted this good.
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Load MTN Freedom Bundles using My MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles. MTN.
Leaders who care create a good learning environment.
Because a good school equals a better life.
Raising voices.
Welcome back. Now in business news, 5 people have been arrested in Palaro Sub-County, Gulu District for dealing in illegal charcoal business. This was during an operation conducted by Environmental Police in Acholi Sub-Region. The police commander, Environmental Police Protection Unit, Xavier Senkanavo, said RDCs should issue directives to all LC1s to report and apprehend all illegal charcoal dealers within the region.
The indiscriminate cutting of trees by illegal charcoal dealers has led to destruction of the environment in Acholi sub-region. As a result, the Environmental Police Protection Unit Police Commander Xavier Sekanabo led a force to mount an operation on this illegal act.
A whole of about 100 square meters, I would say 100 square meters, like 100 acres, is being taken away at 2.8. And people have sat, big trees are being cut and dismantled. This thing will be in for 1 week. People have feared, but still people are in the bush. And getting the intelligence is hard. You can imagine like where we're coming from, Mede. Well,
so far, 5 people have been arrested in the operation carried out by police and National Forest Authority. Illegal charcoal burning of especially shea butter trees and logging of Afzelia africana in Palaro sub-county started around 2015 and has led to the continuous dwindling
of the tree cover over the years. Beno Chola, a resident of Mede, says they are now experiencing a shortage of firewood. Arthur Awol, an environmentalist, and his counterpart from West Nile, Amanzuru William Leslie, who spearheaded a campaign to save Zoka Forest, commends police for the exercise.
So for them to come after the damage has been done is something that may not be helpful. They need to be more proactive, because this thing is extending from the belts right in Achumani, going right up to the areas in Agago. So I think it's a very expansive area that the police actually needs to work with the actors.
I think there's need for the environmental police, to speed up their manpower so that this is done and the environment is saved, because my biggest challenge will be if we don't continue doing this and we do it at a pocket level, it will still give them more opportunities to come on board and to keep abusing the environment.
By press time, a total of 79 suspects had been arrested by the Environmental Police Protection Unit across Acholi, Lango and Karamoja sub-regions.
Over 1,000 accountants from across East Africa, Uganda from across East Africa are meeting in Kampala for the East African Congress of Accountants next week. The accountants are to be hosted by the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda, with support from institutes from other East African countries, the Ministry of Finance, NSSF, SCCA, and other stakeholders. The Congress that was previously supposed to be held in March of last year, but postponed due to COVID-19, is to be held under strict special operating procedures to avoid any infections.
Congratulate all the East African Institutes of Accountants upon the organization of this particular one, despite the COVID-19 constraints it suffered last year, causing its extension and rescheduling.
East African top accountants are meeting in Kampala mid-next week for the 3rd East Africa Congress of Accountants under the theme Integration for Accelerated Economic Growth and Development.
The purpose that has been highlighted is so fertile. It looks at various sectors. These include the promotion of intra-East African community cooperation, cross-border trade being among them, collaboration among the accountants and business community in the region.
The Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda, in partnership with sister institutes from across East Africa, is hosting the 3-day Congress at Hotel Africana in Kampala. This has been disclosed at a press conference addressed by CPA David Serebe, the Manager Examinations John Intagare, and Charlotte Kukunda of ACCA at Hotel Africana in Kampala. The Congress comes at a time when the world is recovering from COVID-19 disruptions, especially at a time when many countries are now vaccinating vulnerable communities against coronavirus.
We think our accountants should be able to fit within the new normal. Even we are refreshing our surpluses, so the accountant we pass out is able to fit within the new arrangement which is out there.
Uganda is the 3rd country to host the East Africa Congress of Accountants after Tanzania and Kenya. The Congress was, however, supposed to be held mid-March 2020, but was postponed due to COVID-19.
We really commend ICPA, the host, for pulling this off and making it happen, and also for the collaborating regional accountancy bodies, ICPAK and OPC, the one for Burundi, ICPAR for Rwanda, and the National Board of Accountants and Auditors in Tanzania.
Over 1,000 accountants from Tanzania, Rwanda, Kenya, Burundi, South Sudan, and host Uganda are expected to participate in the High-Level Accountants Congress by Zoom and physical presence at Hotel Africana.
Common Market Protocol and the ESC Institutes of Accountants, when they were signing the MRA in 2011, they were seeking to facilitate easier movement of professional accountants among the member states.
Mutanyi Hilda and Deo Habimana, UBC.
And on the international scene, Egypt's Suez Canal must move quickly to upgrade its technical infrastructure if it is to avoid future shipping disruption, shipping industry sources said, as the major trade route tries to bounce back from a costly 6-day closure. International supply chains were thrown into disarray on 23rd of March when the 400-meter-long container ship ever given ran aground in the canal, with specialist rescue teams taking almost a week to free her after extensive dredging and repeated tagging operations.
The Suez Canal is 200 kilometers long. It is mostly a man-made water channel with natural lakes in between. Ships can navigate in only one direction for almost 2/3 of that journey. Expansions introduced to the canal in 2015 made it around 250 meters wide and 24 meters deep. It's enough to allow the biggest ships in the world to pass, but the grounding of the Evergreen last month proved that the canal is not big enough to immediately engage with a ship that big. To bring the ship back in position, Egypt heavily relied on tidal waves. It also needed more powerful tugboats than the 150-ton capacity ones it owns. Suez Canal officials say they're buying what will be 2 of the biggest tugs in the Middle East. They're also studying plans to widen the canal and possibly make it a 2-way water channel. During the Ever Given crisis, the Suez Canal authorities said it might need to unload some of the ship's 223,000 tons of weight, but it lacked the equipment to do so. The Egyptian president has given directives to purchase ships equipped with cranes to be always standing by in case a similar crisis emerges. Buying mega equipment is the easiest part of the lessons learned from the Ever Given grounding. Widening the canal, though, is much more complicated. It requires tens of billions of dollars and many years to dig. And it's also not clear if global trade volume will be growing fast enough to make this expansion program financially rewarding.
Now in sports, the Tokyo Olympic torch relay in Japan will be held in a park in the prefecture of Osaka without spectators due to COVID-19. Now the Tokyo Olympic Organizing Committee announced on Wednesday the Tokyo Olympic torch relay that was scheduled to be held on public roads in Osaka prefecture on 13th of April and 14th will be held in the Osaka Expo Memorial Park instead, and spectators will not be allowed to participate in the event according to the organizing committee. The Olympic torch relay has received a rousing welcome across Japan since its start in Fukushima prefecture on 25th of March. Spectators were so crowded in many places that the anti-epidemic measures previously stipulated by the Tokyo Olympic Organizing Committee were virtually in vain. Well, that does it for News Tonight. Elizabeth Nakakone on Sign Language. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. We'll leave you with Kenyana with the weather update.
There, a very good evening to you. I'm glad to have you join me in tonight's weather report. My name is Maureen Kenyana. Now we continue with our seasonal rains across much of the country. However, lately we've seen a slight reduction in wet weather activities across several places, and that is mainly due to weaknesses in high pressure systems that normally affect our weather. Nevertheless, we still get to see rains across several places. In fact, by 9 This morning, according to the available data, we had Kitgum reporting an amount of 15.4 millimeters. We also had 12.3 across Chenjejo, and Kasese was reporting 8.1 millimeters. Now, looking at our satellite analysis, we still have those rain-bearing clouds spread across the country, but those are over several places, and those are the areas that are receiving rains. And most places within the country are having mostly sunny intervals. Now, tomorrow morning, we're likely to start off with very sunny skies with intervals of cloudy conditions, and that will be across much of the country. However, we expect rains across the central part of the Lake Victoria Basin, but those will be across a few areas. Now, later in the afternoon, we expect more rains to the eastern side of the Lake Victoria Basin, southwestern Uganda, as well as midwestern. Otherwise, the rest of the country we shall remain with mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. And take a look at our daytime highs. We are forecasting a maximum of 28 across Kampala. Jinja, you will be at 29. We're also likely to have 30 across northern Uganda. And we are forecasting a maximum of 24 degrees. That will be across Kabale Highlands. Looking at some of the cities we have for you across the world, we're forecasting rainy conditions for Nairobi at a maximum of 26, cloudy for Paris as well as London, and sunny intervals are forecast for
Up next on UBC, brought to you by
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money.